Okay, first proper time lesson from this unit. We're going to learn to convert between hours and minutes. Now I put some success criteria here that don't seem to match, but there are reasons. So, recall the 6 times tables. It's not a times tables lesson, but we need the 6's. To learn to multiply by 10, to make things 10 times bigger or smaller. To recall fractions of an hour, and then the chunky bit, to turn hours to minutes, and to turn minutes to hours. So, let's start with the 6 times tables. I'm going to have 1 6. Oh no, it's a bit further down, where you can see it. Right, 1 lot of 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's just do up to 10 times 6. Okay. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, and 60. Now, why did I say we had to put it times by 10? Well, so far we've got the 6 times tables, but we're about to do time. We're about to do hours, and hours are made up of 60 minutes. We need to better count in 60s, not 6's, but that's fine. We just make all of these 10 times bigger. 60, 12 becomes 120, 18 becomes 180, 24 is 240, 300, 360, 420, 480, 540, 600, and it goes on. It goes on and on and on. That set of numbers there should come in handy in a minute. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, let's think about an hour. An hour is made up of 60 minutes. So 1 hour equals 60 minutes. And I think we all know that. We talked about it a little bit last lesson. We've talked about it before. And we've done it quite a lot. It's a slightly annoying number. Everything else we do seems to be metric nowadays. It's all based on tens, hundreds and thousands. Time, despite some people trying in France a few hundred years back to convert it into metric and not getting very far, is still based on an old system with 60s and 12s and 24s and all sorts of other weird and wonderful numbers. Now, that does make it tricky, but 60 is a nice number. 60 can be broken up into lots of fractions. So, what I've drawn here is an array of the number 60. Okay, we know it's 60 because it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is 6 by 10. It is 60. That is 60 minutes. Now, we can do a lot of things with 60 minutes. For example, we can cut it in half. And then we have got 10 times 3 on this side, and 10 times 3 on this side. Half of 60 equals 30. Half an hour equals 30 minutes. So that's the first number that we have to remember. Let's pop that up there, shrink it a bit. Half an hour is 30 minutes. But that's not the only fraction we can do. 60 is a really nice number. 60 can be cut into quarters, like that. Whoops, like that. Now I've got a quarter of an hour. It's 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So a quarter of an hour is 15 minutes. That's another useful number. If time was based on base 10, we had to try and divide 10 into quarters, we'd have a bit of a problem. But 60 is a brilliant number. It's not just quarters we can divide it into. We can divide it into, let's get rid of you, delete. Let's cut it there and there. We can actually divide hours into thirds of an hour. So, a third of an hour is 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 times 10, which is 20. So a third of an hour is 20 minutes. Once we've got the unit fractions, we can do the non-unit fractions. So if we know what, let's go back to our quarters. Let's pop you there a second. That's quarters, I think. If 1 quarter of an hour is 15 minutes, then 3 quarters of an hour is 15 and 15 and 15. 3 quarters of an hour is 45 minutes. Ooh, that's annoying. Sorry about that bit. And just keep that. Got ya. Just keep you. And then going back to our third, if 1/3 of an hour is 20, let's get rid of you as well, then 2/3, which is this bit, 2/3 of an hour equals, well, it's 4 times 10, it's 40 minutes. So, let's have a look at these numbers. Slightly larger. We've got, I should have started with 1 hour really, shouldn't I? 1 hour is 60 minutes, half an hour is 30 minutes, quarter of an hour is 15 minutes, third of an hour is 20 minutes, 3/4 of an hour is 45 minutes, and 2/3 of an hour is 40 minutes. Brilliant. Okay. So, let's start going from hours to minutes. This one's going to need our times table, so I'm just going to steal this number line from here. Actually, let's have the numbers above it as well. Let's group and copy you. You might want to write this out and just have it somewhere where you can see it while we're working. I'm going to pop it at the bottom. Okay, so if somebody said to me, what are 3 hours? I would say, well, there's 1 hour, gets me from 0 to 60 minutes. We're after minutes, by the way. And in 2 hours, that gets me to 120. And in 3 hours, that That gets me 280. How many minutes in 3 hours? There's 180. Okay. Let's do another little one. What about if someone said, how many minutes are there in 7 hours? Oh, there's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. Well, it goes 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360, 420, hang on a minute, 60, it's late. Time starts at 0, doesn't it? Duh. There we go, 420, that makes sense. So, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours are 420 minutes. I could have just read that from down there. Now, sometimes people will give you fractions and hours, like a mixed number. So they might say, what are 2, say 2.5 hours in minutes? Well, 2 hours, 1, 2, which we know is 60, 120, but then we've also got half an hour. Well, we know that half an hour is 30 minutes. We've got another 30 minutes to add to this. 120, add 30, 120, 130, 140, 150. 150 minutes. 2.5 hours is 150 minutes. Okay, let's just check these questions. Okay, so we might get some that are mixed numbers. So it might say to us, what is 4 hours and, I don't know, 25 minutes in minutes? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours will be 0, 60, 120, 180, 240, but then we've got another 25 minutes to jump onto that. 240, add 25 is 265. 265 minutes. So, let's have a look at these. A sleepy cat slept for 4.5 hours. How many minutes did the cat sleep for? It slept for 1, 2, 3, 4.5 hours. That's a whole hour. That's a whole hour, whole hour, whole hour. And this is half an hour, which we know is 30 minutes. So it went from 60, it was still sleeping at 120, it was still sleeping at 180, it was still sleeping at 240, and then 30 minutes after that. So 240, add 30, 4, 5, 6, 7, 207. So how many minutes does this cat sleep for? 270 minutes. Write these times in minutes. 5 3/4 hours. Okay, well, let's not draw the timeline. Let's look. 5 hours is 300 minutes. So it's 300, and 3/4 of an hour is 45 minutes. 300 add 45. Well, that's 345 minutes. Let's not forget the unit. Okay, 2 hours and 10 minutes. 2 hours 10 minutes. Well, 2 hours is 60, 120, 6, 12, 60, 120. So 120, and then another 10 minutes. Well, that's 130 minutes. And I drew that. 3 hours. 3 hours, 42 minutes. Well, 3 hours is 6, 12, 18, but 10 times bigger, 180, add 42. 180, add 42, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 2. 222 minutes. Double check my working. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 1, 2, yeah. Okay, so that's my answer to that one. And then finally, Raj plays the guitar for 2 hours and 27 minutes. How many minutes has she played the guitar for? Okay, thought that was a boy's name. 2 hours, well, 2 hours is 120, 2 6 is 12, times by 10 is 120, and then we've got another 27 minutes. I can do that in my head, I don't need to do column addition. 147 minutes. So Raj plays the guitar for 147 minutes. Not convinced by that pronoun there. Okay, so hopefully we're alright in turning hours into minutes. The only thing left now is to go the other way around, to turn minutes into hours. That can be a bit trickier. So somebody might say to you, what's 120 minutes in hours? Well, it's what we just did backwards. We know we're aiming for 120, and we start on 0. Well, there's a 60 in the middle there, and then 120 is the next hour. So boom, boom, 2 jumps, 120 minutes is 2 hours. If somebody said 60 minutes, well, I know that's an hour, 1 hour. If somebody said 240 minutes, well, let's go back and look at our little list we wrote. 240, oh, there it is. It's 4 hours. 240 minutes is 4 hours. Now, sometimes people give you numbers that aren't in the 6 times tables, or the 60 times tables, I should say. But that's fine. We can just work out the closest. So, if somebody gives you a number like 370 minutes, what does that equal in hours? Well, we're going to start at 0. We're going to jump to 60. That's 1 hour. And we're going to jump to 180. 120, sorry. We're going to jump to 120, because we know that's the second hour. And we're going to jump to 180, because that's 3 hours. And we're going to jump to 240. You know, that's 4 hours. We can't jump. Oh no, I'm running out of room here. Let's just group that. Shrink it a little bit. Extend that line. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We can jump to 300. That's 5 hours. We can jump to 360. That's 6 hours. We can't jump to 420 because that'll take us too far. Well, we've got to 360, we need to get to 370, that's just another 10. That's 10 minutes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours and 10 minutes. Now, 10 minutes isn't any of those known fractions, it's not half an hour or a quarter of an hour or anything like that. So that's all we can say. Let's try another one. What about if someone said to you, can you convert 145 minutes into hours? Well, we'll start at 0, we'll jump to 60, it's 1 hour, we're not there yet. We'll jump to 120, that's 2 hours. Jump to 180, oh no, I can't jump to 180, that's too far. I've got to 120, I've got to get to 145. How much more is that? 120, 130, 140, that's 20. 145, that's 5, so there's 25 more minutes. That's 2 hours, 25 minutes. And again, 25 isn't any one of those special fractions, so we don't have to worry about it. Let's try one more. Let's try 195 minutes. Okay, let's convert that into hours. Well, one jump, 1 hour, gets us to 60. We're not there yet. 2 jumps gets us to 120. We're not there yet. 3 jumps gets us to 180. We're not there yet, but if we jump to 240, we've gone too far. So, how do we get from 180 to 195, 180, 190, 195? So we've got 3 hours and 15 minutes. Now, 15 minutes is one of our fractions. That's a quarter of an hour. So we could say we've got 3 1/4 hours. Okay, let's try some questions. Write down times in hours and minutes. 90 minutes. That's 1 hour. Gets us to 60. We can't go to 120, so we need to go 70, 80, 90. That was 30 minutes, so we had 1 hour, 30 minutes, so 90 minutes equals 1 hour and 30 minutes. And as we know that 30 minutes is half an hour, we could say 1.5 hours. $135 minutes. 1 hour, 60. 2 hours, 120. 135, that's 1 hour. 2 hour. From 20 to 35 is another 15. So we've got 2 hours, 15 minutes, or you could say 2 1/4 hours. $187 minutes. Start from 0, jump 60, that's 1 hour. 120, 2 hours. 180, 3 hours. But we need to get to 187, that's 7 minutes. So it's 3 hours, 7 minutes. And 7 minutes isn't any special fraction, so we can leave it at that. Okay. It took Darren a total of 237 minutes to cut the Hunter family's hair. How many hours and minutes was that? Okay. So, Darren started at 0 minutes. He'd been cutting hair for an hour. He got to 60 minutes. He'd been cutting hair for 2 hours when he got to 120 minutes. He'd been cutting hair for 3 hours when he got to 180 minutes. He'd been cutting hair for 4 hours when he got to 240. Ah, no, we can't go to 240. 240 is too far. So we need to go to 237. We need to know the difference between 180 and 237. I could count up in my head, 280, 290, 300, so, let's start again, from 180 to 237, so 180 goes 190, 200, 210, 220, 230, so it's 50, and then 7, 57. If I didn't want to count up, I could have done 237, take away 180, 7 take away nothing is 7, 3 take away 8, can't be done, 13 take away 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1 take away 1 is 0. I get the same thing. One way or another, I need to know how much to get from there to there. So, Darren took 3 hours and 57 minutes. Now, you would, obviously that's a worded question, you would write it out as a worded answer. So you would write, Darren took 3 hours and 57 minutes to cut the Hunter family's hair, which sounds like an awful lot of hair. I know my hairdresser seems to cut my whole family in about an hour. Okay. A flight took 342 minutes to reach its destination. How many hours and minutes was that? Right, it started at 0 hours, 0 minutes. In 60 minutes, it had done an hour. In 120 minutes, it had done 2 hours. In 180 minutes, oh, we're going to run out of space again, aren't we? In 180 minutes, it had done 3 hours. In 240, it had done 4 hours. In 300 minutes, it had done 5 hours. If I do another hour jump, it will get to 360. We only want to get to 342. How do you get from 300 to 342? Well, that was quite easy. That's 42. So we had gone 5 hours, 42 minutes. The flight took 5 hours, 42 minutes. And again, worded question, you would write me out a worded answer. You wouldn't copy out the whole question. Okay, that's that for that lesson. So we've done a few examples. I'll put a few in the work. I'll do a few levels. If you've got any questions, just let us know. Cheers then. Bye bye.